to the weather.
Do we do one of these things? Action.
I think you're good.
Is it broke already?
I don't know. We'll find out.
It's a
Okay.
public meeting, let's
don't
say
you see
broken.
this?
I don't know. The IT guys will be here shortly.
So what's gonna happen when we stand up? Are we gonna disappear?
We're not on there
We're not
now.
even on there now.
All right. Call the meeting to order. Stand for the pledge of the flag, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you remain standing, John's going to open us with prayer.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for the time that we have this evening. We pray that you'd help us to be very wise in the way we deliberate and the way we utilize the taxpayers' resources. I praise you for the country that we live in, the state and the city. What a blessing it is to be as safe as we are in a town like this. We thank you for our own first responders and for first responders and military all over the world. Pray that you keep them safe as they keep us safe. It's in Jesus' name that we pray.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Is that mean anything? I don't know.
Approve the minutes from 8/7/24.
Motion to approve the minutes from 8/7/24.
Second.
Second by Mr. Purdy. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 affirmative. We have a motion to approve and ratify the fund report and docket.
I'll make the motion.
Motion by John, second by Chad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 affirmative. Okay, at this time, we are gonna open the public hearing for the 2025 budget. And I don't know if there's anything we really need to do. There's anybody here from the public that has any questions?
We're gonna get a copy of it?
That's it. And I'm assuming you could.
Absolutely.
Public record, so,
I have I made a copy, so.
Well, I've got an electronic copy if somebody'd like to have
Would it be
this.
possible to post it on the website?
I can ask about that.
we can sure check and see.
I know that our financial documents are submitted to Gateway, it's a website, and there's anything that's public information is searchable there. Like everything that's in here was entered into Gateway.
So it would already be available online?
Yeah.
It's already been posted?
You want a hard copy?
And with that, you just go on and you just Google Indiana Gateway.
Right, and you could actually look at any municipality, their budget, if it would sounded fun.
You can see public salaries, there's all kinds of resources on Gateway.
Well, and for reference sake, and correct me if I'm wrong, John, we're opening this up to get the budget process begun. We're actually gonna have a meeting next Wednesday night. Is it Wednesday?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which will
Like I
also,
said, the
which
11th.
will also be a public meeting, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yeah, where department heads will talk about what they had last year, what they need this year, changes, increases, that sort of thing. So, and that's also open to the public.
Would it be possible to put a link on the webpage so people wouldn't have to search around? A lot of our folks aren't real computer friendly and.
A lot of us aren't either, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we should put the local for Gateway on there.
I made a note to find out about that.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, and like I say, for what it's worth, I've got an electronic copy. Would you like this copy?
Yes.
Sure, you're welcome to it. I don't think there's anything in here that'd be non-public, is there?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, any council members have any questions? Okay, then we will close the public hearing on the budget. And next item is a public hearing on the additional appropriation.
One moment, are we supposed to vote on the initial, is it kind of like an ordinance where we take a vote tonight and we take
I think it's just an opportunity for the public to comment on the budget.
Thank you.
Okay, so you have something on an additional appropriation.
Yes, this is, we brought it up at the last meeting. It's the CUMCAP development additional that's gonna cover the fire department radios and the outfitting for the police cars that ended up costing a lot more than what we originally planned.
So it's CUMCAP development money that just wasn't appropriated in the 2024 budget. It's money we have.
Yep.
It could have been appropriated,
Being
it
moved.
just wasn't, and so now you're unlocking the lid so you can reach in there and take more of it out.
And that was down to the 2 police cars, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because we actually were over, we put $100,000 in that this year, and with the radios and the 2 police cars, we were already over that.
Right.
But we thought it was just gonna be a couple grand, and we thought, well, we'll just find a place to
Right.
cover that, but when the outfitting came back so much more, we,
Right.
Is that tied to either the resolution or the ordinance
The
under
res-
legislative?
Mhm.
yes,
Okay.
it is.
Okay, and this is a public hearing, so if anybody has any questions in regards to that, this would be your time to ask. But I think Angela did a good job explaining why we're having to do it. It's one of those deals. So, any questions? Okay, we'll close the public hearing then. No old business listed. Angela? Anything old business you have?
No.
Lee?
No.
Chad? No, sir. John?
Mine's for Dwayne, going back to the discussion that we had last time about the sign on Ashland and there. What would be the difficulty in pointing Top Park one way, East Park the other?
Other than the sign is already ordered.
Okay. Case closed, no more new, old business.
Okay. Matt, you have anything? Dave? Dwayne? Cool. New business, advanced EMT program and ALS. Are you gonna handle that?
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
Okay.
Since they're probably still on call.
Okay.
So, basically, so the first part of this was gonna give you guys an update. So in the organization, the structure, we have first responders, which are at basic first aid training. You have EMTs, which are what most of everybody on the department is, where we can do some treatment to patients. Then the next level is advanced EMT, which is actually includes some medications that they can administer before they get to the paramedic level. So it's a level in between. We actually had 3 of our members have gone through the class and completed for the advanced EMT certification. So the idea behind it is to be able to provide that level of care in extreme scenarios, such as cardiac arrest or a trauma situation. We can start those advanced treatments before the ambulance arrives. Because our ambulance is typically coming from Margarsville. If they're not available, then we'll get one from Greenwood or Franklin. So there's a little bit of distance that they have to get before they get to us. So by having the certifications, that gives us a little bit of a head start on treatment in those extreme cases. Curtis was going to provide some more detail on the program itself, but one reason we want to bring it up is because that is one of the reasons for the increase in our budget under EMS supplies, is because there will be additional medications and so forth that would be that we need to have on hand for those situations.
Are there not requirements, if you're going to list yourself as ALS, there's certain things you have to have? It's not like, well, we think we'll have it, but you're required if you're gonna have somebody use that status, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So that goes along with the ALS update. So the ALS update is our official certification for the county. And Curtis was working with the Johnson County Health Department on that certification. And yes, that's going along with that. We will have to have those supplies on hand at the ready in order to achieve that. And this is right now our status is EMS non-transport. And this will allow us to upgrade to ALS non-transport because we don't have an ambulance.
If you have the advanced EMT and the ALS status, does that help our ISO rating?
It will, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's ISO?
It's an insurance, something that, it actually benefits our residents, at least in some small part, because it's like, if you're so far away from a fire station, you get a better rate. If you have more life support, you'll get a better rate. So they do check with the fire departments to see, and it can help our residents as well.
Right. And we just had our audit this year for the ISO. It's done by a third party. And so this is one of the notes that, or one of the, they grade you on different topics, and this is one of them, the type of medical response.
Thank you.
So you're not making any kind of new request, you're just letting us know that the certification's been obtained and.
Yeah, Curtis is gonna provide more details on the program itself, but yeah, the update right now is that we have 3 people that have obtained the certification. We do plan to send more next year through the class as well, as long as, funding is available. The only real update right now is the fact that there is an increase to the EMS supplies appropriation so that we can purchase those other items.
And that line went from 3,200 to 6,000, so that's primarily, is it medications or is it equipment or?
Well, it's a
A
little
little
both.
both, okay, great.
Plus, just in general, even the prices for our basic supplies has gone up too, so.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay. The ESO reporting software, that was Curtis as well.
Yeah, I can give you guys an introduction on that. He actually was gonna have a presentation on that. So right now, the software that we use to do our reporting is a free software that's the state provides. It is not very user-friendly. It's very cumbersome to navigate, but we have it because it's free. The ESO reporting software is software that's designed for types of calls that we go on regularly. And it kind of goes along with the ALS program because the medications have to be recorded as they're administered, along with timestamps, everything like that. All of that is built into the software. So basically, it's usually you have a touch screen tablet. They can literally just tap and everything's quickly and efficiently. It's compatible with the monitors that we will be using to monitor cardiac activity on patients and so forth. They can be hooked directly to the software. So medical items on scene, we transfer information directly to the medics' computer because all the medics in the county are using the same software as well. And it's can be sent to the hospitals also. And one new item that goes along with that is the iron responding software that we utilize currently for our staffing and response and everything as well. They two talk to each other. So we can pull information on who's responding on call, the address, call notes, that kind of thing, we can pull directly into that report automatically. So that is one to work towards upgrading our software. Current software is going to be going away at some point. We don't have a date on that yet, but they have given us a heads up that they will be eliminating it because it's
You said something earlier that most everybody else is already using this. Are we basically the only ones that are using the free and are kind of behind the times on this, or?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, some of your rural departments might be using it still, but definitely all the departments that have ALS or have an ambulance are using the ESO software. And, yeah, so basically we're one of the last in line.
Okay, so I guess my question is, all right, you guys go on a medic run and Bargersville comes to transport. Okay, you're saying that everything will go from yours to theirs. What's the process now? What do you have to do now to tell Bargersville, hey, here's what we're doing with this patient or what's going on?
So right now, we literally have one person will be filling out a paper report, and it's a carbon copy. So we have to give a copy of that to the medic, and then the medic has to enter the information into the computer.
Okay.
So with the software, we'll be able, every run will have a unique code assigned to it once you create a new call, and we'll be able to give the medic that code. You type it in, and all the data is transfers over.
Okay, awesome. Other questions? The Duke grant information, is that you as well?
Yeah, I'll take that too, since they're out. Figures out, the calls that come in right now, right? So really, this is just an information for you guys. I really wanted to just kind of give Steve a pat on the back. So he found this on his own. It was a Duke safety grant that they had available. And he had actually inquired about it, and he had missed the deadline by just a couple days. But the lady said, go ahead and fill it out, all the information anyways, and we'll have it on, that way we have it in the system, and then next year, you know, we can submit again. So he did that. Well, a few days later, she called him up, she said, hey, we got an extra $5,000, it's yours. If you can give us a, something, you know, a quote for something that qualifies in 24 hours. So we happen to have another project we were working on. We actually had a quote for ballistic vest. And so he just took that quote, turned it in, and they approved it.
Wow.
So, yeah, so it would be for 8 ballistic vests that we have on our apparatus in case of, you know, shooter or school shooter or anything like that. I want to give Steve a public pat on the back because he did this completely on his own initiative, and did all the legwork and got something that we didn't have.
Very cool. Very cool. Questions? Okay. You have new business?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So, and Lee could probably explain this a little bit more, but a situation came up where we needed to make a payment to Natural Stone Creations for the granite for the Proctor Park project. And so it's my understanding we have to wait for the council meeting to get approval of claims unless it's utilities, insurance, credit card. So there was that, and then also, usually we aren't supposed to pay for something until we receive. Lee sent me the Indiana code. There's a way that we can pay for certain things under certain circumstances prior to receiving. One of the things is you can't pay more than 50% of it, but it does need council approval. And so he might take the rest of this and explain that.
What Angela's saying is right. Historically, there's been a requirement that sort of public funds can't be spent on goods and services that we haven't yet received for the obvious reason that we may never receive them. There was a softening of that with some new legislation back in 2023. I think really to allow public funds to be spent in a more responsive way for all of the projects that have been going, with all the activity we've seen. And maybe in part because of supply chain problems and all, for whatever the policy reasons were driving that, there was sort of a softening of that hard requirement with limitations. I think what Angela said is right. You can't pay more than 50%. There may have been $150,000 cap. I think there has to be an overriding bond if the total amount of the project is $2 million or something, none of which apply to the Proctor Park project. And so if the council authorizes advance payments for goods and services provided to Proctor Park under the sort of most current legislation, Angela would be authorized to make those payments. And I think that because we've got donated funds that are being spent on work that is being done by folks who are discounting the cost of their work or trying to be particularly responsive, it is more comfortable for the town to be able to make those payments more quickly, and maybe to be able to front the cost of some of the materials that are going into it. And so I think the request is that you would authorize under this legislation, within the parameters of the amended rule, Angela to make advance payments as requests for those payments come in on the Proctor Park project only.
And it would still be on the docket.
Yeah, they still have to be approved claims, right? They could be paid before they're approved, but you still have to retroactively approve them, and they appear on the accounts payable docket like everything else does.
Any questions?
No, related, there was something on the docket this month that I meant to ask, Natural Stone Creation. What was that payment? It was like $7,600.
That's the one we're
That's the
talking
one we're
about.
discussing.
We were gonna void it if you guys voted against it.
What
But we
did
didn't
that,
wanna wait a whole another month because,
what did that cover? I don't have an issue
So
with
that's
that.
50% deposit for the black granite for the new memorial being placed over at Proctor Park.
And those are donated funds, right?
Yes, so we hold a portion of the
Right.
donated funds for Proctor Park
Right.
as well as Uplift Johnson County, but we're asking to be able to do this out of the portion that we're holding.
Sure. So the ask would be specific to the donated funds for Proctor Park, but it's an ongoing ask throughout that project.
right, and from what I understand, they were originally gonna order granite from this place that was gonna get it from India, and it was gonna be a lot more expensive. So this is a huge improvement, but we have to give them this money so that they'll order it,
Right.
so they can get going on the project.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
A motion approved.
Motion by
Second.
Chad, second by John Chalosky. Other questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-4. Do you have anything else? Lee?
Nope.
Chad?
No, sir.
John?
No.
John?
No.
Matt?
I do have one thing, been working on it. Our current funding system that we have for the towns, for all the departments, goes through Metronet, same thing as our internet service. We had gotten into a discussion with some other providers and things like that, and they brought up a company called Ring Central, and it's actually a company that Right Tech actually uses as well. So I had them reach out, they got us a quote from them, this would just be for a phone service. I guess I should go back. We currently pay $609.01 basically a month. That's what we pay for the phone service for all departments. This Ring Central would drop that down to about $378 a month, is what it would drop down. We had a sit-down meeting with Corey yesterday, and Melissa and Cindy were sitting on it. traffic. He was gonna explain some things, I guess, on it if you had questions. But just kind of wanted to give you that heads up. We did get an email from MetroNet stating our equipment that we currently have is basically going to be out of date. I don't know if it's so much inoperable, but it won't be supported anymore. So that's something we're going to have to be looking at with it as well. But just wanted to kind of give you a heads up, see if that's something you all would be interested in, I guess, looking into, or you just want me to drop it, or things like that. It sounds like a really good phone system. I don't really have to explain it, but
I guess I really don't either.
I mean, it does everything that we currently have. Does allow some other things that I don't know that we'll use, but you can do video. You can do video conferences basically through it. It can be set up to where Dwayne and I won't actually have desk phones. It will all ring through into an app on our cell phones. We can call out from it. It basically masks that and it shows it as our office phone. Things like that. So it cuts that cost of another couple desk phones on our end. And, you know, that's the ability other people can have as well.
The other thing is, we have 2 dedicated lines right now, so that, you know, if there happens to be a third person trying to reach in, it's gonna reach out to a busy signal. You know, various things like that with this new system, if that's the direction you guys choose to go, it's pretty much unlimited. So it's a little bit more user-friendly.
Do we not have phone lines for some of the plant equipment?
So we have a phone line for our SCADA system for our alarm monitoring. That would allow that, as well as the 2 fax machines they have one at the town hall. They have one at the fire department as well. And I guess I forgot to change this here. Do you know anything really about the Ring Central stuff, or is that kind of Corey? Okay.
Okay.
You were just here monitoring our.
For what it's worth, the bank that I work at uses Ring Central.
Okay.
We went to it probably a year ago, and we really are doing away with desk phones, because it'll work through your own personal cell phone or a company cell phone if you have it, but it also works through the computer. So most of the time when I talk on the phone, it's going right through my laptop. I don't even use the desk phone. We're really eliminating, you know, the handset that you pick up.
Have you been happy with it?
Oh, yeah, it works
Any
very well.
bugs or issues?
No, I don't understand the technology behind it, or if, you know, we can support it, it can support us, but it works
Right.
very well for the bank.
Okay.
Yeah, when I seen the quote come back, I was kind of dumbfounded. You know, it's like I said, $231 savings a month. Now with this, there is a 36-month contract with it. So when 36 months is up, the prices actually drop.
Okay.
He said, because what will happen is you can kind of go back to them with quotes from other people. We actually did that. They came in higher than what MetroNet was. We basically told them what we paid through MetroNet, and they come back and cut the cost by that much. So
is that price, if they're gonna ask for 36 months, is that price constant for 36 months?
yes, yeah,
Okay.
it's a locked-in price for that 36 months.
Okay.
So
If he's happy with it and they're
It's
using it
worth
for the
looking
bank,
at.
I think
Like-
we'd be silly not to. Yeah.
We'll ask. That's what we do now. Ask. So I would think that it's obviously it's all that's right. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's,
Does it currently tie into the phone line? Do you know, is that how it works over there? Or it's the seven?
See, now you're talking way above my head, but I think
Yeah.
we don't use phone lines anymore. It goes through the internet. It's voice over internet protocol, VoIP. Yeah.
yeah, let's, I think it's a great idea as long as it's compatible with everybody's needs.
Okay.
So police might be involved with that as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'd be silly not to.
Okay. All right, we'll do some more research today
Okay.
and come back to you.
Okay. You have anything else? Dave?
That's it. I got one more thing. So I picked up the Durango today from the lighting outfitter. Got the invoice. It was $182. Basically, the additional cost is just extra materials that you have to get approved for. My only question is, since the original PO was from ARPA funds, do you have to pay the difference on that same fund, or do I pay the difference out of my own budget? That's really the only question I have on that.
Okay.
$183, yeah, and 42 cents.
What kind of strings do we have to go through to get that 183 out of ARPA compared to
We don't.
budgeted funds?
We just have to approve it,
Okay.
as far as I know.
It's not that big of a deal as far as getting the
Yeah.
approval process. I'm fine with it. We
And
have to do it.
we're still okay there, right?
We are, Dwayne gets the rest for road projects, are you okay with it dipping in $183?
That's cold on the spot.
That's
Okay.
gonna be a little.
That's 2 foot of curb and you're not gonna be able to put in.
Yeah, well, don't put it in front of my house.
Yeah.
He's gonna leave a pothole right in front of the station.
Yeah. Where do we want to take it from? I mean, it's got to be paid, so. I mean, if you take it from your budget, do you have it, or is that going to hurt you somewhere else?
We have it, and I can pull from our maintenance appropriation we have. We do have the money there.
Well, I think that it'd be fair to take it from their budget instead of, since
Yeah.
the other funds have been appropriated
Yeah.
to Dwayne, I think if we've got the money there, it's probably
Yeah.
cleaner, because if not, then it's coming from Dwayne and it'll be the pothole in front of my house.
One moment, sorry.
Well, and in that case, we don't have, you can just do it.
Yeah, I can just go ahead with it.
So, the thing is, each department had, so they had their asks, and then some things came up less, or some things came up more. And so he didn't spend all of his total ask money anyway. It was like 19,000. Cause you just had not to do the trailer.
Okay.
Which was over $12,000, and he just was like, we're gonna hold out on that, cause he's got a trailer, and you said they could use it, right?
Man,
Sorry.
out of ARPA funds and the trailer, jeez.
And he was gonna buy your house too, so, no, I'm just kidding. So I don't know if it really matters to take it out of ARPA if he has all this excess that he didn't use.
Well, we actually did save some money on the turnout gear, I think it was. There was something else we saved money on too, I forget what the,
Yeah, most of your lines
Yeah.
came up less, only one of them came up more, but overall, you had 19,000 that you didn't spend.
Yeah.
You're talking 6 inches of asphalt. Just take it out of our butt.
It doesn't, if we want to do that, somebody make a motion, it doesn't matter. I don't.
So moved.
Okay, motion.
Second.
Second by Chad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 affirmative.
Who made the motion? Okay.
Schlatsky.
all right, thank you.
Yep. Dwayne, new business. Okay, legislative, resolution 2024-05. This will be for the additional appropriation, human cap development.
Yeah, so that is, that is the resolution that approves what we discussed
Yeah.
during the public hearing earlier in the meeting, that the additional 33,000 and change will be freed up and made available to spend in 2024 because it was not originally included in the 2024 budget. Again,
Okay.
money that you have, money that you had could have been budgeted but wasn't, and now you find as you go through the year, you need a little bit more.
Okay.
I make the motion to approve.
Motion by John Purdy,
Second.
second by Chad. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 affirmative. Ordinance 2024-04, transfer.
This is the final reading, we presented it at the last meeting, and it's just a, kind of a busy cleanup of some of the lines that were negative.
Make the motion to approve.
Motion by John Purdy.
Second.
Second by John Chalotsky. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4 affirmative. Okay, that, well, it's not 6 o'clock yet.
Yeah, we guessed at it.
Do we need to wait?
Yes,
Okay.
I thought with the budget and all that you'd gobble up more time than this.
Can we do the open to the public portion?
Yes,
Sure.
can absolutely do that.
Okay then. All right. For the,
Now you can also circle back if you have no questions.
yeah, absolutely. On which, the grant or,
Whichever one you want.
You know, show them what we're doing for the grant.
With our grant, we're getting, you
No, that's okay, thank you.
know, tactical vests. Thank you. A little bit better than, not as good as the police, but it's fire related. It does have, so if we go into an active shooter scenario, which happens all the time lately, we have everything on us. It does have a bulletproof vest up to a .44 caliber. We can change out and go to a rifle plate if we purchase them later on down the road. We got the grant from Duke Energy. We're in the final stage of it. Everything's been approved. It's just all the paperwork and stuff now that they keep asking for stuff and stuff. And so, we're gonna get 8 of them. So that covers all, the cost of everything.
That's terrific. Great work, by the way.
yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Nice job. That's awesome.
I'm excited.
Okay, let's, I want to know a little bit more about the reporting system.
I just came out from always be prepared and then something runs now. So right now I've got just a standard quote of information for each of you in the back for ESO. Got some really important, really exciting news to kind of give you guys. I've been working really hard. There should be 2 pages. If I gave it 3, my bad. It's sticking through this. My face a little bit red.
You been fighting a fire or something?
I was teaching live fire all day at
Oh.
the academy, so I'm a bit parched on this.
Sure.
Alright. So I'll just kind of start off. Thanks for being here, everybody. My name's Captain Huffman. Curtis is my first name, Whiteland Fire Department. Pleasure to be here. So I had a PowerPoint made. I'm just going to wing it for right now. So right now, does anybody know the difference between EMT and a paramedic?
Dave told us.
Yeah. So, did you already get on this ALS?
I gave him a highlight.
Okay, so we're going ALS. All the paperwork done, we've got the medical director signed off. We're going to be providing a service that nobody else in Johnson County does at our level. So even the career departments either have paramedics or EMTs. They don't have the intermediate like we do. So we're going to be giving a service to you guys, which is excellent. Our medics typically come 5 to 6 minutes away. We're there in 2 to 3, depending when staffing is. We can give a range of medications, help with cardiac arrest, if your heart stops, breathing stop. We can do a whole range of things that the state medical director has approved for us. So this is huge. We sent 3 people to advanced EMT class, myself being one of them, and 2 of the others. One's waiting to take his test, which is National Registry for what it takes. We're planning on sending more in the future, but this is huge for us. So I've got most of the funding done. We'll talk money later because the chief way better at talking money than I am. I'm just trying to get it all squared away with that. Leading on to the ESO reporting system. So this is the only reporting system that the county uses. It's interoperable between all the ambulance, all of our transporting ambulances that are coming in here. So kind of the big points on it is asset management. We can track our medications, we can track our patient information. So if we have the same patient 3 different times, the reporting system we have now is free. The reason why it's free. When it comes to your data, we care about the safety and the encryption, and they've invested more than $5 billion in safety and encryption and all that kind of stuff. So this is also good. There's a couple different things throughout the county that this will help with. We have a system called Gelada. You go to the EMS task force meeting every Wednesday. Basically what it is, it's getting community paramedicine out in the county. So if we have somebody in our neighborhood the table or medications or something like that, all this information will be transferred to that, so community paramedicine can take care of that. Now, White River Township and Greenwood's heading that up. The health department's been paramount for us. They're gonna give us funding for some of our equipment, some of our starter medications, which is, it's up there. And it's, like I said, it's a paramount system. I'm using it in Annapolis Fire Department, I'm using it at Greenwood, I'm using it in Annapolis EMS. Everybody uses it for a reason. The cost right now, they've given us crazy discounts on what they're doing. They've, made it a lot more user-friendly for people around to us. If we have a fire in town and you wanna see a report, I can send it to you right now. Everything's very black and white. It's, the data's fantastic with it. I'm probably gonna speak about more than what I should when it comes to this, but proof's in the pudding. Right there on the second sheet, it will tell you everything that is listed on the first sheet, having the price. You need to dive down into the actual meat and potatoes with it. Basically, the biggest thing we're gonna be using it for is our EMS and our fire and our data encryption. Like I said, we've got so many pieces of equipment and so many medications that are gonna expire every year. We have to do outdates and end dates, and what we do, it's gonna track our members, whether they're up to date on their education. If they're not up to date on their education, we actually pull them off. So that's a big thing. So we don't want anybody to be uncertified. That's gonna give us a heads up on that. It's gonna help us with our continuing education. Now, another thing is, if we're in a different agency, it's all gonna interlink with the county. So if we go to your house and we run on you 3 times, and you're unconscious this time, and I click on your information, it's gonna pull everything up from the last time. So it may tell me everything that's, wrong with you, and we've got the first time. So, you guys have any questions? I know I spoke kind of fast. I'm a little tired and nervous. So,
With this being integrated to all the departments, okay, let's say, and I'm a big proponent of whoever gets there first. If I'm in need of services, I don't care who shows up. So let's say for some reason you guys are out on a call, you got mutual aid, and the call goes out, dispatch to my house, and Whiteland responds. Okay, 6 months from now, because you're all in the same system, does that mean that if you come to my house, you know everything they did 6 months prior?
yes and no. It depends on the interlocal agreement between the agencies. So they can put you in a big system to where I can, import John Karen with your birthday. It's going to import all the information, basic information, meds, allergies, address, date of birth, that kind of stuff. It's not going to tell them exactly what you did. Now, Gelada and the health department can see that if they need to. If you were in the event to die, the coroner can look at that and all the reports there. So immediately, I can be a supervisor. It's called a super user. So if Captain or Chief Wire is typing a report, I can actually see what he did, the whole report, and I can see if he deleted it and added something different, which he never would because he's a very trustworthy guy. But you can always tell if some of the report was botched or whatever. So the security feature is excellent with it, and we want to make sure we have the highest care for our patients, make sure it's documented very well. One, we do good patient care, and we want to cover our butts too. So.
Okay. Other questions? Thank you. So you basically covered everything then.
Oh.
Okay. Okay, well, we still have 15 minutes, so
Open to the public.
at this time, the meeting is open to the public. If you have a question or comment, we ask for your name and address for our records.
Excuse me.
Go ahead.
Regina Luttrell, 829 Westview Drive. Hi,
Hi.
it's me. Little bit's changed. Lot's gotten worse. So the gentleman across the street, I'm still in the same boat, guys. I have a lovely neighbor joined into the parade. I have contacted Bob. Bob has visited the neighbor, so hopefully things don't continue for years. Like I said, neighbor across the street. But now, my neighbor right next to me has passed away in March. So that home had been abandoned, but let's move forward. They started demolishing the inside of the home over the weekend and decided to just, let's throw all that demolition stuff into the driveway. And no one's been back since Sunday. So I don't really know what's going on. So my experience looks like our bombs went off in it. But My street is horrible, and my street's not that long, West Street was not that long,
Yeah. Okay, well,
so. And Bob's
Who's-
trying, I know he
yeah.
is, bless his heart, and when he gets an email from me, I know he cringes. But, I don't.
who's got the report?
Take that,
What?
the report for Bob.
I just wanna see if that's on there.
I don't have
Thank you.
it.
It's right here. It's right here. Okay, 8:45.
I should know it by heart. I believe so. No, he's 8:24. 8:40.
The only one,
Yeah, 8:45.
okay, he left a notice. He's left a notice and there's been no response as of yet, so, he usually tries to give him a week. So I'll check. I'll talk to him tomorrow. I'll call him tomorrow, see if he's found anything.
Thank you.
No problem.
All I asked.
I'm Bob Matthews from Hilltop Commons. I noticed on the webpage, said there's gonna be an annexation petition for it. Do you know what the property is that they're talking about annexing?
Yeah, that's what we're gonna do at 6 o'clock. That's what we're waiting for.
What we're concerned about is property that's east of us, the farm field, that's county. Wisconsin County Senior Services.
Oh, this is
That's county.
other direction, yeah.
And we border that, and we're just always concerned with agriculture.
Yeah,
And we don't wanna see apartments or who knows what go in
Yeah.
there, so.
no, this one's the total other direction, so, but, yeah. And I
Is there
don't,
any possible way that it would annex that into the city?
I don't know that anybody's asked.
It is a church property, but it's
Yeah.
out in Florida, and right now there's, I think there's 2 members.
Mhm.
And one is 92 years old, the other's just about as old. So something's gonna happen.
Yeah, but until they petition to have it annexed, annexation rules have changed a lot in the last 5 or 6 years. Used to be if a town or city wanted, to annex it, they just would. And legislation changed a lot to where it almost has to be requested, so.
I looked it up on the state,
Yeah,
and.
to my knowledge, nobody's requested, so, yeah. But no, this one tonight has nothing to do with that property at all, so. Okay, anything else we can help you with?
The only other question I had was, what I always do is Tracy Road. And I looked up here, you spend $1,000, $10,000 on patching material.
Sure.
And there are still a lot of potholes.
Oh, yeah.
No,
That's a never
It's
ending
not right.
process.
Yeah, that's everywhere. Anyone else? Okay, we'll start the public hearing in about 10 minutes, so if you need to use the restroom, get a drink. Free to.
You gotta bang the gavel? You gotta bang the gavel?
No, we're not adjourning the meeting.
Oh, okay.
No, I thought we would, but
Who came up with a 6 o'clock start?
well, we thought the regular meeting would take longer.
I know. I just wanted to criticize him.
Go ahead.
I'm not gonna touch it. I'll mess it up. I know.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna need your pen. Mine crapped out on me. Is that the only one here?
That's what I was asking. I'm not, personally, I'm not bothered about it. Maybe I might like it, but 6 or 7 years.
Is that it? And then I think,
Yeah, plus a boat, plus a
thank you. No, I shouldn't need one. I'm not signing anything else tonight.
It's the same thing you emailed, right? No, that's fine. I wouldn't look at the paper copy anyway. I saw that. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Gotta love it, dude. Your own toy.
Yes. My car's right out front. It says how.
I don't know. I don't want to judge.
So is this just recording or are we broadcasting?
It's broadcasting.
So you'd go to the town's website, you'd be able to,
Well, we have to get a link for it.
Do what?
We have to get a link for it to integrate it. It will.
so it's not up right now?
No, it's just broadcasting live to YouTube. We physically have to create the link.
Gotcha. Okay.
A permanent link, basically, on the town's website to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that, yes.
So it's gonna be the strong man, it's gonna be New Whiteland, Town Council,
All one word.
all separate.
We're fixing all that.
Makes me look That's me. You're famous now. Yeah. 5 minutes. Yeah, that's cool. Come of the modern age. Yeah. Says there's 4 people watching. They're probably all in this room. It's New Whiteland. Must be. I'm over here, but must be. Oh, there it is. Yeah. In case we swear they can, we swear they can beef it out. I know.
Yeah, of course. You wouldn't expect anything different, but not to say that it's any better, but they have a fiber cut over there, and they call me up and I need to write this second. 4 places to be, don't hurry up and be there. And of course, hurry up, didn't hurry, so. But we got back in business. No, we're just testing it out. We're testing it out.
We're not expecting to.
Yeah, so. Chase, I say we need a couple of those ice makers. Put them on microphones. It's providing that feedback. That's where we should. I know, of course, everything.
Can't have nothing, right?
Yeah, so everything's down here. It's like, you know, he's paying, have everything today.
Probably not. Probably not.
No, but I was watching this online. Yeah, we found it on YouTube.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it all right?
Seems to be. And there's a bit of a delay on it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, what's going on? Cool. I've got the sound turned down, but I suppose there's sound.
Uh-oh.
There's a bit of a delay. Yeah. Hey, Toots. How are you? Sure. This is my wife, Sharon.
I've met you before. How you doing?
To serve the man up here. I'm surprised security hasn't come up to get you. Yeah.
Oh, shoot, I don't have my gun on my knife tonight.
Oh, you have a name tag.
He's
Yeah.
really wanted up here.
He's official.
Yeah.
Word 2. See, Lord. That's a
Crazy word.
Say that means we're all.
Oh, you're crazy too.
We're all nuts.
See, you was John Fleck, right? You were in that play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
John's crazy.
I need to get in touch with him. He wants to go to breakfast sometime.
He does enjoy a breakfast, doesn't he?
He hasn't missed any, you can tell. How do you know John?
From church.
Okay.
Yeah, he used to go to our church. So he left a couple of years ago. Actually, have you ever heard the Great Banquet? It's the same thing as Christie, it's from Walked on Lands.
I was invited to that.
There's one next week. if you
I know,
wanna go.
I was invited, and I can't go, I'm committed. Like the Lord. No, I've got 3 things going on that weekend, and, but Charlie Edmonds, I don't know if you know him or not, there's a group that used to go to the creek that are now coming to our church. He had invited me to go.
At Southport?
Yeah,
You're just gathering people from all kinds of churches.
I guess. Yeah, well, we go out and recruit. So what are you doing next Sunday?
Well, that's a good question.
Actually, we're doing coffee and donuts.
At our church, not yours.
So where do you guys go?
Southport Presbyterian.
Okay.
We've been there for almost 30 years.
No, I like John.
Oh, John.
Oh, no. Oh, it is after 6.
Yeah, it is. Here we are trying to kill time and we've
Okay,
lost track of it.
we're gonna call the meeting back to order. And this public hearing is a petition for annexation.
So we will have the petitioners make a presentation, and I'm scrambling here to get this petition in front of me. In any case, we have a petition for annexation for the properties surrounding the wastewater treatment plant at Sawmill and Whiteland Road. Lennar and Arbor Homes both have an interest in property there and are proposing a development in the form of a planned unit development that is going to be the subject of the Plan Commission meeting coming up in an hour. But tonight, the request before the town council is to consider annexing the property, which is the subject of the petition, to actually make it a part of the annexed territory of the town of New Whiteland, which then would subject it to the town's planning jurisdiction, zoning ordinance, and essential services. There is a requirement under the current annexation legislation. John mentioned previously that it has changed a bit, and it's a little different than what it used to be. I think I'm pretty comfortable saying it's impossible to annex land in Indiana anymore unless the owners of that property request annexation or consent to it. And that's what we have. We have the owners of this property petitioning to have it annexed. And so the request of you as the town council is to bring this property into the town of New Whiteland. It's a bit of an island as it stands now, because most everything around it is already a part of New Whiteland, and this property's been a bit of a holdout for a long time, and the time now has come for it to be developed. And it's certainly most practical for that to be done if it becomes a part of the town. So that's the only subject of the public hearing that has just been called to order. Certainly, as a part of this, the public can ask questions to understand where the property is, what the implications of annexing it are, what the intended use and development of it is. You as well, council members, can ask and consider those questions too at the end of the public hearing. There really is no action for you to take this evening. This is meeting a statutory requirement really to give the public an opportunity to be made aware and ask questions and comment on the requested annexation. Okay, that kind of sets the stage. And I don't know who out there is going to talk about this, but now's your time.
Good evening, members of the council. My name's Adam Mears. I'm with Gradison Land Development. Our offices are at 6330 East 75th Street in Indianapolis. Appreciate being here. both for this meeting and then the Plan Commission meeting next. Discussion started on this property a couple of years ago, initially with Lennar, who had half the property under contract. Lennar was developing another piece in New Whiteland, working close with Matt and Dwayne. This piece came up for sale, and as it sits now, essentially the western half of the property is under contract by Ryan Homes, and the eastern half of the property, kind of, you can see the split down the middle, is under contract with Lennar. Where we fit in as Gratis and Land Development, we're going to be the land developer for the project, so we will end up being the purchaser of the ground. We'll buy the land. We will develop the project with all the horizontal improvements, and then we sell lots to both Lennar and NVR, and they will build the houses in the development. So we've spent a lot of time, again, working with Matt and Dwayne, talking to Leah a lot. I know it was kind of the initial thought when this property came up that it's, as Lee said, it's kind of an island out here. Everything else is part of New Whiteland. So we think it would be a good fit for New Whiteland. It's an interesting property with the sanitary treatment plant right there. But again, we see it as a good opportunity to provide a couple different varieties of housing in this area. Just to give you an idea about, I know anytime you're thinking about annexation, you're going to end up looking at assessed value of the property. I believe the property now currently is just under $800,000 assessed for all of that property. Once it's developed and all the houses are built out, we estimate around $135 million of valuation, assessed value for the improved homes. So clearly a significant growth in assessed value for any town to have growth and have more people to have that assessed value there to bring in additional tax revenue. We think is going to be a great fit. So we hope you'll consider the petition at that appropriate time. And here to answer any questions. Clearly, we'll go more into detail for our conceptual plan and the PUD ordinance tonight at Plan Commission. But happy to discuss anything you'd like about the annexation. And we've got people here from Ryan Homes and Lennar and Gravison as well. So
Did I say Arbor? I apologize. Sorry about that.
I think one of the first things that comes to my mind is what is the plan around the wastewater treatment plant?
Appreciate that question. We were out there, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, and met with Matt and Dwayne on site, kind of took a look at what we're really dealing with. Clearly, it's our job to develop it right, make it look great. It's the home builder's job to sell homes. So we recognize we're going to have to take care of buffering that area. One of the things we talked about with Matt and Dwayne is some shared expense related to upgrading the fence around. Right now, it's a pretty rickety chain link fence, and I'm being kind. We talked about maybe an 8-foot white vinyl fence going around it again to help that, with then some mounding as well with some trees on top. Clearly, it's in our best interest, and we understand deeply that we have to sell homes here, right? We're going to have to sell lots, and the builder needs to sell homes. In order to do that, we're going to have to properly buffer around that. So that's probably a little further down our planning path than where we currently are, but clearly we understand we're going to need some type of mounding system with trees, separated out on those mounds. We think a white vinyl fence replacing that chain link fence would be another nice feature to have going around there. And so that's where we are at this point. Clearly buffering is going to be a major part of our planning when we get further down after we get through zoning, assuming we're successful in that. As we work with our engineers and then staff and go through TAC, talking more about our landscape plan. But at this point, we're thinking of fencing and mounding, the absolute minimum we have to do.
Do we get pinned in with our ability to do any expansion to the plant?
No, and what I would say is I think we're gonna help. That was another part of our discussion with Matt and Dwayne and Lee initially. There is some talk, there has been talk about wanting at least needing some additional land to expand. We're buying some of that land that's right out in front, and we have talked to Dwayne and Matt about deeding that property over to the town to allow for, if there is a need for expansion, they'll have more area to grow out into that. So based upon our discussion, and I know Matt and Dwayne can talk about that as well, but I think the idea was we're gonna, right now, they don't have that, the town doesn't have any more property right there. So our ability to donate that property to the town, we think would be very beneficial for the town and for the.
I can tell you, so during the capacity study that W did, that came back, have plenty of room for this subdivision of they also had basically a layout over if we did another plant expansion. This roughly another 500,000 gallons if there's kind of piece that together, and there's plenty of room for the utility side of things, and then kind of to touch base on like the area he was talking about them deeding to the town. I think gives us the area that we would feel comfortable with from material storage and things along those lines.
Okay.
So.
And I think that ground sort of underneath where the creek is, most of that's not floodway, or is that floodway?
So there's, I would say about half and half, I would say.
So if someday we needed to double the size of the wastewater treatment plant, and I guess I'm not thinking about the next 2 or 3 years, I'm thinking about the next 20.
Right.
So what I will say is and I really just got this report, so that's why I haven't sent it out yet. The GRW looked over the next, I believe it was 20 years, and looked around the growth of the area around us if we were to take it in, and that was their recommendation that would be another 500,000 gallon plant, and they put a schematic or aerials of where that stuff would sit. So as far as the information that GRW gave us, we would have the room to take in basically the stuff that would be around us of what they would guess over the next 20 years.
So in the current footprint, you
In
could
the
have that.
current footprint. Yeah, and I can.
There's that large building that you're gonna take down. That's a little bit to the right, I guess if it's zoomed in, it's kind of going over on the right side over there. But I do remember Matt saying, yeah, their 20-year study said the site as it is can handle
So
the
basically,
anticipated growth.
currently in this area here is basically the original plant before New Whiteland. We use it we don't even use it. It is a storage tank. Actually, in the project, John probably remembers in 2019, we were actually going to tear it down. We decided to cut it out of the project just to kind of save some money and things like that. It was still structurally sound. It's a tank if we needed it. I haven't used it even since that point in time. I don't know when the last time I used it. So what would end up happening per GRW's recommendations that would be torn down. Basically, this is a 500,000 gallon plant here. They would put another one right here. And that would give us the capacity to take on what their assumption over the next 20 years capacity would be if we were to go beyond this. I can tell you some of the things we've looked at over time. I don't know how much there is going to be there. I know in Greenwood's comprehensive plan, they show that they want basically all the property up to 75 to us is in their comprehensive plan. Obviously, we can still get it. It's not theirs, but they are developing plans for that. So I don't know how much truly more growth we're going to have.
Thank you.
So the ground that you're talking about deeding would then become storage? I mean, what would you see that you'd use that ground for?
We're talking like, storage space for riprap, gravel, things like that, stuff that's not, where we're not talking about putting a building or anything along that we're gonna need. We've got other plans for, things like that in our current footprint.
So yeah, so currently what going on, like right now, right in here, we've got storage bays and all that stuff for just aggregate different stones, things like that. Those are kind of things, that would probably be something that we would move down that way, which then would allow us more room if we decided to move forward with putting another shop in. That gives us another area, if we need more room that way.
So if 20 years from now, all three sides of that are developed with houses and we need to add that additional wastewater treatment plant, can those neighbors then remonstrate against that and make it difficult for us to add that?
No. Well, I can let Lee chime in, but
That's a great question.
we talked about that too. We covered a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I think they could. I don't know whether they could successfully or not. There is a Indiana Administrative Code regulation that requires that any residential property that is located 500 feet from the property line of a wastewater treatment plant like this facility. So from the perimeter of this, 500 feet out. That they would have to be made aware of their proximity to the wastewater treatment plant, and we would essentially do what is considered a deed restriction to it doesn't strip them of their right to remonstrate, but it is a requirement in order for those lots to be sold that deed restriction be included on the deed to their lot.
And the deed restriction would be what?
That they are within that proximity, which is obvious to them if they look.
Sure.
But in order to sort of tamp down the concern that you have that they could somehow interfere with or block the town's need to grow, there is included this provision for a deed restriction in the regulation. Adam's aware of it. Lennar and Ryan, are aware of it. And I think we all understand that would be something that we would wire into the declaration and include those deed restrictions, which.
We have it on the plat,
Yeah.
we have it on in our covenants. And I think, just piggybacking on what Lee said, the idea by that is each person who accepts by their deed,
Right.
they're bound by the covenants. The covenants reflect that they are affirmatively stating they recognize that they are within 500 feet of a sanitary facility, which, if it came to remonstrate down the road, it's a very difficult thing to challenge when you've already acknowledged you're next to a sanitary plant. I think, it doesn't wipe their rights of being able to come and say, well, hold on, I don't really want you to add another tank. But then the question is, well, you knew the whole time this is a sanitary facility. You actually affirmatively accepted the deed, understanding that you're next to that 500 feet. So it really cuts their argument off at their knees. You can't stop people from arguing, but.
Well, that's what I was going to say. What I hear you say is it makes it difficult. It doesn't make it impossible.
Well, there's no way to waive somebody's right to remonstrate. But again, we have to put this provision in that says they understand and accept that they are within that 500 foot. And we can add language that says they're not gonna remonstrate. Again, you can't legally take somebody's right away to do
Wouldn't be
that.
binding anyway.
But it makes it kind of a difficult argument to make, because again, the question anybody would ask is, but you knew you were next to a sanitary plant, what did you think was gonna happen?
Yeah, but I didn't know you were going to double it. That's what I'm concerned
Yeah.
about. Have you seen things like that in the past, Lee? That sort of an argument and who came out on top?
No, I've not had any experience with homes being developed so close to a facility like this.
You know, why-
And we'll make it quite clear in again, both the covenants and the plat, that we're acknowledging that the plant may expand down the road. I mean, we're not trying to bamboozle anybody, right?
No, I get it.
We want the
Yeah.
homeowners to have the information up front, and I guarantee you, knowing how Ryan and Lennar work, they're gonna have their clients sign something in purchase agreement.
I'm not worried about you guys bamboozling, because they can look over the fence and see it.
Right.
It's more.
But I think
Right.
the idea of adding language that also says, and the plant may expand, again, more of them acknowledging when they take a deed to understand.
It shows an intention, but like you say, they can't waive their future right.
Right, but then the argument would be,
Even if you bought more ground in order to have that expansion capability, if you jumped over 500 feet, and then you're noticing the neighbors on the east side of Sawmill, and then they haven't been found. So I mean, you've got someone where you're gonna have some remonstration.
Sure. Yeah, no, I get it. I'm just trying to understand, because this really will completely landlock our existing plant.
well, my thought would be, in drafting those covenants, and certainly I'll work with Lee in doing that, but putting in enough language that makes it incredibly difficult for somebody to say, I had no idea that there was potentially going to be an expansion to possibly add another 500, double the capacity of the sanitary plant. Hey, you took your deed, you have the covenants, it says that right there. You probably, if you were really concerned about it, you shouldn't have bought here, but I think we can add enough language in there and certainly work with Lee to make sure that the town's comfortable with that language. Do it in a way that, again, really just belts and suspenders the fact that anybody who buys in here is gonna understand not only that they're within 500 feet of a sanitary plant, but there's a potential for that plant to grow significantly.
Yeah, well, and I realize you can write anything you want. That doesn't stop people from. Yeah, no, I get it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whenever we ran through all that, a lot of that sounded like the state statute or the code basically was almost written for a wastewater treatment plant that was gonna be coming in after the fact.
Yeah, well, I think that's what's most contemplated, but it's still applicable the way it is,
Okay.
right? But yeah, I think you're right, because it's there, anyone can see it. It's not something that we can very easily hide,
It's not a
right?
surprise.
Yeah. Put a big tent over it. Right.
Dome.
Service.
Yeah, a dome, yeah.
We want a dome. Be like Lucas Oil and the top
Yeah.
can slide down.
Have a window or a roof that doesn't work half the time.
So how does it, I'm relatively new on the council, how does this process work? We have a public meeting today. At what point does this come before the council to approve? The annexation only?
So if you don't adopt an ordinance within 60 days, one of the property owners could file a petition with a Johnson County Circuit of Superior Court to compel, for the court to require that the property be annexed if certain findings are met. And those findings can't be met. I mean, it requires a population of 3 persons per acre. I think those people have to have no essential services available to them. I mean, I think if the town would decide not to annex this, I don't think the property owners could shove it down our throat.
Well, that wasn't necessarily my question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Assuming we decide we want to,
Yeah.
what would that process look like?
You would adopt an ordinance annexing this property.
But that wouldn't be tonight. That would be
It
at
would
some
not be
later
tonight.
meeting.
And I think you can't do it for 14 days. But if you don't do it within 60 days, then they can challenge your decision not to annex it.
And I suppose
But
if
they
we
won't
said-
prevail.
And I suppose if we
In
said
this
no,
case.
they could challenge that as well, but
Yeah.
likely not for them.
If they what? If you do?
If we said no, they could challenge that, but like.
Yeah, right.
Okay, okay.
I think in our perfect world, we'd love to have that ordinance be heard the same night that, assuming we have a successful plan commission hearing, to have that be heard essentially as an item just before the PUD approval, so that
Right.
annexation, PUD approval.
Right, so you get.
Kind of happen,
Right.
hopefully at the next meeting. to be
Because if you
perfectly
can't get
frank.
both, you don't want either. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
no, I get it.
one goes with the other,
Right,
so.
right.
I think that would be our thought is to hopefully, again, if we're successful tonight, plan commission with a favorable recommendation, that we hope to come back into the next meeting, and have those items be heard at the council meeting.
Go ahead.
Okay, so what has been your experience and success in building and populating ground that is that close to a wastewater treatment plant?
Well, I can honestly say I'm not sure that we've done anything quite like this particular property. I think, I guess what I would point to is the builders here are significantly large national builders who know how to market their product and sell homes. We are confident as going to be the landowner, the one selling the lots, that they're able to sell homes. Again, they go through, both of those large companies go through their due diligence process to determine that this site is feasible for them to sell houses. So again, I think, we have a lot of developments in areas where there are other things going on. We do have a project in Whiteland that butts up right to their plant as well. There's not a ton of buffering around it, and sales there have been fantastic, one of our most successful developments.
So have you sold the lots right around the plant yet? Or are
No, we just finished developing
so they're not
those.
available yet?
We just finished developing those, honestly, in the last 30 days. Ryan Homes, our builder there, they've purchased a significant number of those homes to start model lots. But again, when I say that new section, I mean the other section that sold out essentially overnight was don't throw from it. And they had zero problem with marketing and selling that product. But look, we've been developers for 30 years. Not every site has perfect things around it. And we've learned how to properly buffer things and do our best to make the site look as great as it can. Clearly, there's not going to be a ton of homes right next to the plant. We recognize that to have homes literally with backyards backing up to the plant is going to be a challenging sale. But as you get further north, I don't see there being a negative impact at all. So
I wouldn't think so either.
Again, I think we've done a good job over the last 30 years of finding ways to buffer things that are not particularly sightly. We've had great success in doing it, and this is no different. I mean, we're incredibly confident, and I think hopefully by the showing of 2 people from Lennar, we've got 1 from Ryan, we've got 3 from our team, we've got 6 people here that have been working on this project for a couple years. I think we're all in on this site and believe it to be quite successful when we get going.
I've found the administrative code section that discusses that 500 feet of the deed restriction, and I want to make sure that I've said this right to all of you. It's nothing to do with somebody's right to remonstrate or object later. There is a 500 feet separation requirement. So a residential dwelling cannot be located within 500 feet of the nearest piece of equipment or treatment equipment that is a part of a treatment facility like this. That's the rule. You can't be closer than 500 feet, period. Well, not period, comma. Unless there is included in the transfer document, the deed, this deed restriction that it essentially serves as consent by the property owner, the buyer of that lot, that they are agreeing to owning property that is closer than what the rule by default allows. So what it does is it by including this deed restriction, it will allow these houses to be placed however close the developer chooses to place them. But it won't have any effect at all on anybody's right to remonstrate at some point in the future. And I think what that looks like is if there would be a need to expand facilities here, IDEM would have to issue a permit for that expansion. At the time that permit's issued, we would have to send notice to surrounding property owners.
Probably within that 500 feet, anybody within.
Whatever that notice area is, but it would certainly include these people. And anytime we've ever done a project, we've had to do that. And we've, on one occasion, with some property owners up north of town, who remonstrated for a little bit, for reasons that were never clear to any of us. We've never had anybody remonstrate, but we've never had people living so close either. I think to prevail, they would have to present really compelling evidence to IDEM that what we're doing does not comply with IDEM standards for use and development of a wastewater treatment plant. And it would. I mean, it would be engineered and designed and comply with those regulations that are applicable. But could someone dig in and remonstrate? They could. Could they make things more difficult? They could. Do I think they would ultimately succeed? I don't think so. But when this first came up, I think the conversation I had with Matt and Dwayne was just that. It isn't that we ultimately wouldn't be able to do what we wanted to do, but would our path getting from here to there be made more difficult by having these homes located so close to the plant? But to my mind, when you look at the assessed value of this property now and what it would continue to be as a bean field or floodplain ground or whatever it currently is, as compared to what it will be if developed as single-family homes, it's a risk well worth taking. That our application for a permit would be made more difficult, our issuance of a permit would be made more difficult. That additional difficulty as trade for $135 million of assessed value seems like something we'd be willing to go through. But that's how it works. It isn't a waiver of remonstrance. It really is just what is required in order to pull the homes in closer.
For today.
Yeah.
No, I get that.
Okay.
Other questions?
They've answered mine.
Anyone there? Okay, if there's no other questions, we will close the public hearing.
Thank you, folks.
So this is a little bit of an unwieldy process because we're talking about annexing this ground, which is one process, one procedure to bring it into the town. On a parallel track, Bradison has filed with the Plan Commission and will at 7 o'clock be presenting its concept plan for the actual development of the property, showing, at least in a conceptual sense, the outline of the lots and how many there will be and what the street pattern will be and the lot sizes and the densities and all that kind of stuff, which is the first step in the process for a PUD approval, which stands for Planned Unit Development, which is sort of a hybrid approach. Normally, property is zoned, an underlying zoning classification. It would be a residential zoning classification under the new Whiteland zoning ordinance. They would get it rezoned. And then they would come back and they would present a plat, a subdivision plat, all with the Plan Commission, to chop it up into lots in a certain configuration and size and all. Each zoning classification that the town has in its zoning ordinance has development standards for the various lots, lot sizes, lot densities, setbacks, buffering, whatever it might be. A PUD is taking all of that and bundling it together, and instead of trying to present a plat that meets the development standards of that zoning classification, what they're wanting to do is sort of tailor this development in a way that makes sense to them. So what they present to the Plan Commission and ultimately to you is a plat and a request for rezoning all at one time. So if it is approved, it's approved as its own zoning and platting for this property, unique to this property, but it looks very much like it does everywhere else. And the whole idea about PUDs came came about back when there were these huge developments being done that had commercial components and industrial components and recreational components and residential components, and had multifamily and single family and zero lot line and large lots and small lots and golf courses and all that kind of stuff. And that's not really what we have here, but given that we have some unique characteristics of the property, we have two different home builders working with a developer to try to put a mix of different size lots and a multifamily component, right? It makes sense to try to do something unique that is tailored to this property, not to traditional zoning and planning. So they're going to start the process tonight by submitting their concept plan, which is sort of the look of it all. If that's approved by the Plan Commission, then that concept plan comes to you, the town council, who is, I think, within 60 days required to act on it, to approve or disapprove it. What the Plan Commission will send to you is a recommendation and a report that says, we looked at it, we think it meets the requirements of our zoning ordinance, we recommend that you approve it, we recommend that you don't approve it. But they'll send some kind of a report on to you, and then you, at a public meeting, will take action on it to do whatever you decide to do. If you approve it, then that's the green light back to Gradison to file their preliminary plat, which is a more detailed concept plan that has more specificity, that has maybe closer to scale, that may have more topography, that may show more detail on street design, may have additional road improvements added, may show elevations and drainage, and we have in our ordinance what is required in the way of a preliminary plat, and they'll have to meet all of those requirements and submit the preliminary plat. That will go back to the Plan Commission. At the same time, what they're going to do is say, when we submit a preliminary plat, we're also going to ask you to rezone this as a PUD, so that that is sort of married up and the zoning and the platting are presented at the same time and come through the process together. The Plan Commission then, if it approves of the preliminary plat, will ultimately send it back to you again, along with a recommendation that you either approve the preliminary plat and the zoning, or that you don't. And you will then, at a public meeting, take action. If you approve it, you will adopt a PUD ordinance. That PUD ordinance will include, will have the effect of rezoning it to a PUD. It will have the effect of approving the design, essentially the plat. And it will approve a master plan, which will be commitments and conditions of development, and in this case it's required, but nowadays we see it in all subdivisions anyway, that there will be a declaration of covenants and commitments that will be the rules of that community on what you can do with your property, what you can't do with it, outbuildings, I don't know, pets, chickens, basketball goals in the street, parking, all of the things that those of you who live in more modern subdivisions with covenants are accustomed to. That'll be a part of all of that. And that'll find its way back around to you as well. Ultimately, the approval on the rezoning and the master plan is yours. The Plan Commission will continue to monitor the final plat and will probably delegate to our zoning administrator authority to make some approvals along the way. And I think Dwayne and Matt intend to involve Joe Tierney at GRW, principally Joe Tierney, to look at the preliminary plat and offer advice and suggestions. And I expect there to be some meetings back and forth with representatives of the town and their consultants, and with Adam and his folks, to fine tune that plat and ultimately get it in a form that will meet with everyone's approval. But it's a big process and it takes some time. I think they have an interest in moving as fast as it can. Yeah. If we just sort of sit here and hit our meeting schedules on our regular meeting nights, we'll all be spending Christmas together, I think, which I don't know that any of us really want to do. I was talking with Matt. I think there's a way maybe to get this done by the mid part of November, but part of that depends on whether you all are meeting for budget meetings and things at times other than your regular meeting night, and is there one set up next week or something? So I don't know that you have to decide this tonight, but I guess if you want to decide it, decide it. What's going to happen after this meeting tonight, after you conclude this meeting? The Planning Commission will convene at 7. They'll present a concept plan. The Planning Commission will ask questions and consider it. What I expect to have happen is at the conclusion of that meeting, the Planning Commission will vote to forward on the concept plan to the 5 of you and recommend that you approve the concept plan. And if you wait until your next regular meeting to approve the concept plan or to consider the concept plan, and that's October 2nd. Once you've approved it, the developer can submit their preliminary plat, but there's nothing that can be done with it prior to that. And in order to submit their preliminary plat, they have to submit it 15 days prior to the Plan Commission's next meeting, which is September 24th, which means it would have to be submitted by September 9th, which is tomorrow. And so I'm sorry, I did this.
It is?
Here's the short part. I would like to suggest to you that you at least put on your agenda for your next Wednesday meeting, consideration of the concept plan in anticipation that the Plan Commission will approve it and recommend that you approve it at your next meeting, because all you're doing then is accepting the Plan Commission's recommendation. And if you do it next week, then this moves this thing along and saves some time.
Let's just do it contingent on a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission. We're gonna be here anyway.
Right, that's my point.
And as long as the Plan Commission is favorable after this meeting, then we'll add it to our agenda next week.
I just can't imagine that you're gonna get a favorable recommendation report from the Plan Commission and then not approve it. Right, and so if you do that, that's going to help to advance this along and speed things up for everybody, which I know they have an interest in doing.
Yeah.
And we want to accommodate them if we can. So, that all right?
Are we okay with that?
Sorry for talking so much about it, but I wanted you to understand how.
You still got 15 minutes to kill, so.
Well, and
here
for
for the duration.
clarification as regards to this project, the reason you do a PUD is the PUD essentially scrapes the zoning rules we've got in place and says for this property, this is going to be the rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for clarity, you said somewhere along the way, then it's going to show that it fits the zoning. Well, it's not going to fit the zoning. That's the reason we're doing a PUD. Right. And here's my ignorance. Does Whiteland have building standards already in place?
Whiteland?
No, I'm sorry, New Whiteland.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
So if we have RS3 or RS3 zoning, we'll have development standards that will say the lots have to be this size for this kind of frontage, and the setbacks on the side of the rear yard have to be this.
Where can I find that?
In the zoning ordinance, you can find it on American Legal Publishing, the town code online,
Okay.
and go to our.
Because what I want to do is look at, okay, here's what the zoning is, here's what the PUD is, let's see what the meaningful differences are.
You can, but you won't see under PUD those development standards, because they will present those uniquely for us to adopt.
Right.
So you won't be able to do a comparison on the zoning ordinance. At the point you'll be able to compare.
I don't mean by next Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean along the way. That's
But what you'll be comparing is what they submit to what we already have on our zoning.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly,
okay.
exactly, yeah.
Kind of like what you just had.
Right. Yeah.
Is that, make sense to all of you?
Yeah, basically, we're gonna see you guys a lot.
Well, I know, but.
And you know what, we'd like to have a quick date with you guys, we'd like to see you a lot very soon.
Well, and so a week from tonight, it is absolutely as fast as this can possibly happen. That's what we're trying to make happen, so.
Got it.
You can't do the annexation then though, because we gotta wait for 14. days.
Yeah, but what I fear that everyone's getting tired of hearing me talk. So, but what I thought I have on that is we might introduce the annexation ordinance next Wednesday on first reading, and then have the final adoption of it on October 2nd, so annexation would be done.
Perfect.
And there again, I think that's as fast as we can make it happen.
Perfect.
And then I have some other ideas on timing that I can talk with you guys about separately.
Yeah, I'll connect with you tomorrow. Yep.
And so, but again, as far as the developer is concerned, you don't want annexation without the approval for the property.
Yeah, I mean-
You don't want one without the other. So,
Generally, what we've done in other jurisdictions, and we've done this exact same thing, which we've done a lot, they both are kind of contingent upon the other being approved. So the PUD is contingent upon the annexation being approved, the annexation is contingent upon the PUD being approved.
Sure, I get that, yeah.
So-
Because I look at it and think, as a town, why would we not annex? I don't have an issue. Yeah, again, the property, we need to understand and struggle with, I shouldn't say struggle, need to understand what you want to build and how you want to do it.
Well,
the annexation's not.
And we may need to know too whether your property owners will consent to an annexation unless you close on the purchase.
That's why I honestly think we've just always done it that, let's say the annexation gets approved before the final PUD, it's approved subject to an approval of the PUD.
Right.
So
Sure.
if one leg falls, they both fall.
Then nothing
But do
happens.
you need for the town not to annex it unless you close on the purchase of the property?
I'm
Because
not worried about us closing on the property. I'm worried about it not being, if for some reason it's not properly zoned, then
but you're not going to close if it is. So I'm kind of saying the same
yes,
thing.
I mean, all
Right.
those, it's all.
So if this doesn't work and you guys go away, they don't want their property annexed,
Correct.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we get it. We've done this before too. It's been a minute, but we'll fashion it that way.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
Let's just take a vote on everything right now and just
Be done.
go have dinner.
Get your gold shovel out.
Exactly.
Actually,
Appreciate your time.
we're going to adjourn the council meeting.
The other thing I figured that if I didn't talk